lot 1020 is a wonderful painting by Charles Benjamin Olsen in 1927, and it's a beautiful picture of the ships coming into the harbor, and it was presented to His Honor Rodolph Anderson, who was evidently in charge of a petroleum company in 1927. But a monumental piece of work by that artist, beautifully done. This came out of a house just outside of Bath, Maine. Look at the detail, look at the lovely detail on this castle type building right here. Wonderful painter. This is a 18th century gilded bronze, about $14.99. It's Shiva with Parvati. It's extremely finely detailed gilded bronze, a Nepalese figure. And this was found in Kathmandu. People found it about 50 years ago when they were there visiting. And this pot is removable, and she sits right on his lap. And see that space in the middle? That was for either hiding something very valuable, or sometimes they did prayers and they put them inside and hid them in the sculptures. We had a piece last year we sold, and when we opened it up, it was filled with little individual rolled up prayers. That's quite an exceptional piece, in beautiful condition. You'll notice the gilding over the bronze and two-tone colored on the bronze right here. The more detail you see in these, the higher the quality, the more valuable they are. You see every line of the hair and all the little beadwork in this. Just an exquisite bronze. With the hair in beautifully done. And that is that's on Saturday, and that's estimated at $2,500 to $3,500. Over here, these are fun. These are brought from Indonesia, lot 1552, and those are all carved in teak, I believe. That's from the same family that had the carved teak elephant. And those are, yes, solid teak wood, three-leg armchairs. But you notice it comes down, it's a bird's head as the support, with bird's feet and beautifully carved wings on the side. Those are only estimated at $1,000 to $1,500. And it's amazing, but they're quite comfortable. They're quite comfortable to sit in. They got a nice deep back. And so if somebody wanted a very unusual pair of chairs for an accent piece for a room, these would be spectacular. Spectacular. This is an interesting chest right here. We sell a lot of these because being on the coast, there were a lot of sea captains. This is lot 1023 when we sell the nautical stuff at the start of the sale on Saturday. And 1023 is what they call a mahogany two-part campaign chest. A lot of these were either made in mahogany, but a lot of them were also made of camphor wood. This one here has very thin sides and extremely fine detailing, which lets you know for sure that this was made in England. Most of these are English. This one does have camphor wood draw liners, so it has that wonderful aroma of the camphor wood. And those are usually running around $2,000 to $3,000 pretty consistently. You notice the brass hardware, and the interesting thing about them, because they were used in the campaigns and brought on and back and forth off the ships, they have the carrying handles on the sides, and they're all brass bound, so if there was any movement, it keeps them nice and solid. 2403, which is Sunday, is a wonderful Meiji period, Japanese Meiji period bronze of a tiger and a lion fighting. And the Meiji period is basically the period of sculpture and art that was done sort of in the Victorian era of the Japanese culture. This one's estimated $1,000 to $1,500, but a really beautiful piece. You'll notice the quality of the work. You see the stripes in the tiger, how they did that? And they're usually signed, which this one is. This has the Japanese signature mark right under here. It's incised right into the bronze, right there. Because there are a lot of copies of this type of thing, but you can, if you've handled enough of them, and of course we sell everything guaranteed, if you handle enough of them, you know which ones are good. You can tell by the detail and the patina and the wear patterns on things just how old they are. But this is a very nice example of tigers and lions in combat. Very popular subject matter with the Japanese Meiji period sculptors. If you want to see a piece of exquisite work, this is a piece of a lot 2386, which is being sold on Sunday. It is an exquisite piece of cloisonne work, and cloisonne is ground semi-precious stones made into a paste, and then has all this tiny, tiny silver or brass or copper wire that divides it and gives it the shape or the design of it. The hotter, the more open, believe it or not, the more open field around the object, the harder it is to do. You notice how it's shaded from darker to lighter down here? It has the floral border, the signature of the artist right here. This is an exceptional piece, and look at the back work they did on it. The beautiful flowers and stuff, all done in different colors. And this is by a very well-known, it's the school of Namikawa Soki, and after the original design by Watanabe Saitai, enamel is a cloisonne tray, and this is very expensive. This is $4,000 to $6,000. We had one years ago similar to it that brought $10,000 or $15,000. But very sought after, this type of cloisonne. Of course, this whole case has got, fabulous cloisonne in it. Look at this iris vase. This is a black ground, the hottest ground to do. The ground is the part with no image, so it's the more open space. This is imperial quality on this right here. But you'll notice, see the little silver wires dividing each thing? That's all hand done, and then it has to be baked to enamel this onto the brass or copper. Sometimes you even have cloisonne that's done on silver, which is really wonderful. I don't know if we have a piece in here or not. Let's see. This one's interesting because it has the birds and the waves going around it, a pair of vases. I love cloisonne. The craftsmanship, the Japanese craftsmanship and their artwork is just amazing, really. Look at this one. Look at this one. This says wisteria coming down, all kinds of flowers, chickens in a dark, dark blue ground. This one's got silver wire on it. Oh, this is imperial. So that has an imperial mark on it. So it's very important to have this. So this is good. That means it's good enough for the emperor or even high-ranking people in the community. Also has the name of the maker, which is significant. So that one there is probably $1,000 to $2,000, I would imagine. So that's your cloisonne. Oh, these are fun. This is while we're still doing Japanese. This is a collection of 5 subas, and a suba was made in Japan. They used the samurai swords, had the blade and a handle, but you needed something to protect the hand from the sharp blade. So this was sort of your stop, but so your hand wouldn't go down on the blade and cut your hand off. But they made them in all different kinds. This is all hand-tooled iron with solid gold inlays. This one's sort of a sea creature, signed by the artist here and the metalsmith here. These are exquisite things. They're very highly sought after. This little group right here should bring a couple of $1,000. Look at this one with the all incised flowers. Signature here. Right there's a signature. And they call them mixed metal because sometimes they're set with gold, silver, copper in the iron. See the work of that? It's just amazing. So they're really little individual pieces of art, and you see where the blade went through. This is, of course, the sharp edge of the blade, and this is the top of the blade. So those are fun. Another interesting weather vane of the 2 deers was sitting on top of a 5-piece dining room set, so that people like the vintage set that almost looks like George Jetson, you have a chair like that. So we go from the early centuries before Christ all the way to 1950s. This is a piece that was found in New York. It's by Olaf Gravesen from the Netherlands. He was 1943, 1987. It's a spherical sculpture on stand. But what's interesting is somebody had the patience to figure out how to do all these machine bolts, welding rods, and long nails into this wonderful, interesting sphere. Certainly a great indoor or outdoor sculpture, and on a stainless steel base. That one's estimated at $1,500 to $2,000. These came out of a place in Northport, Maine. It's a matched pair of demi-lune-shaped Ming Dynasty Hongale wood side tables, but they make, when you put them together, they make one round table and they peg together. They're absolutely exquisite, beautiful condition. And you notice the wonderful cloud. The cloud and mushroom motif has great significance in the Chinese design. And you see it often in bronzes and in wood carving and stuff like that. Very interesting to the design of them. This guy is very popular, a Maine artist, Eric Hopkins, lot 2199. He's known for his paintings done so they look like he's done up in an airplane doing watercolors of the islands of Maine. This one's estimated at $3,000 to $4,000. It's called Job's Island. It's right on the title. Done in 1911 to 1492. We have a lot of great Maine painters in here. 2207 is by Tolaf Rehnquist, and he that's part of his. He's a Searsport, Maine artist. Square Study is called. Very popular, young and upcoming artist. We have one of his small pictures in our collection. It's one of our favorite things that we have in our collection, and that's running $2,000 to $3,000 also. This section has some mission furniture. The mission furniture was basically a design of arts and craftsmanship that was done from around 1900 to 1920. This particular piece is by Stickley. He was really the instigator of the Stickley or arts and crafts movement in furniture, number 2087. That one is like, it should estimate a run around $3,000 to $5,000. We also have several other pieces in the sale. We have a round dining room table with leaves. We got rockers. People love these. This is a 12-tune music box. And what makes this one rare is it has these bells on it, and you notice it has these little butterflies on it, and it cranks like this. They're 12 tunes, so it'll play 12 tunes, and it was made around 1880. And this one's valued at $1,500 to $2,400. Isn't that something? All these little bees or butterflies strike simultaneously when it needs to. It shuts off perfectly. So it does start perfectly and it shuts off perfectly, and the butterflies work. So 2069, that wonderful music box you just heard, is $1,500 to $2,400. Very popular in the Victorian mansions in the early days. So a lot of wonderful paintings throughout the sale, Bill. Again, an intense variety of Maine painters. You've got William Thorne over there, that abstract of the trees, which is a lovely image of his. That came from the estate in Cape Elizabeth. And then you've got several other great living Maine painters. You've got a little collection of Waldo Pierce paintings, wonderful Maine painter, impressionist painter, often called the American Matisse. We saw a lot of his work. He's a very, very popular Maine painter. Up top there, that Saltmarsh painting is by Beau Bartlett. He's a wonderful painter. These will be sold on Sunday. There's another well-known local painter by the name of Colin Page over here. And down here we have a couple. These always do very well. The anthropomorphic watercolors by Jake Day from Damascotta. He's very popular and does well. Mostly regional artists, though, collected by regional collectors. A lot of Scott Moores. And so there's quite a variety of Maine painters here. I think there's about 50 different people we're representing in this. These are a beautiful pair of what they call campagna form redware urns with the figure lion head handles. These came out of the estate in Blue Hill, Maine. These men were fantastic collectors and connoisseurs of antiques. We're handling that entire estate. And these are a pair of speckled glazed stone with campagna form urns. I haven't seen any better ones since I've been in business for 50 years. Lovely pair, and that's $2,000 to $3,000. So they had them with just a dried flower arrangement in them, but they are pretty spectacular when you look at the workmanship. See the lion heads on the side, and to think to cast something that large is amazing to me, and have it come out whole. Those are running around $2,000 to $3,000. I've seen them in shops for $5,000. So you never know at auction. That's what's fun about our trade, is that it all depends on the intensity of the bidding and the people bidding from wherever they are and how bad they want them. We don't usually sell upholstered furniture, but these came out of the house in Blue Hill, and they had very, very expensive fabric and like brand new condition. Everything they had was in spectacular condition, and so we put these in the sale because we're handling the entire estate. So we try to have a great variety of things for people. Look at these boat models, though. These were formerly in the NB&A collection up in Northport on the mountain. This is lot 1031. Cased model. That's a cased model of the Helvetia 1911 boardroom scale model. And it was built by Sir William Armstrong in Newcastle on Tyne, and $3,000 to $5,000 in that beautiful boat. And you know, it looks like it's a full-size boat, but it's really a half of a boat because it's got a mirror in the back and it gives you the reflection of it being a whole boat. But the detail is exquisite. Detail is exquisite on that, and that's only estimated at $3,000 to $5,000. There's another one here from the same people. This is called an Argentine transport. And this is number 1033. And this is cased, again, a cased half-hull model with a mirrored back. Argentine transport. This one here is $3,000 to $5,000 also, and came from the former NB&A collection. But the workmanship in these is absolutely exquisite. And when they in the shops, these cost $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a piece. If anybody had a boardroom or something, they need great ship models for. We have got them. Or somebody is by their family name is Anderson. Great one. And they're all in fantastic condition, which is amazing. How beautifully kept. And these guys, if you really love boats, these are period scale model pond models that they used to race in the ponds years ago. If you're into photography, 2315 is 5 vintage photographs. These are from the house in Blue Hill, Maine, from the estate in Blue Hill, and they're all by the same artist, and his name is Jacques-Henri Lartigue, French, 1894 to 1886. Framed silver gelatin photographs and interesting custom-made frames. And those are in the $2,000 to $3,000 range for this set. 2316 is a portrait of Picasso. You see the paintings and the sculpture behind him? This is by Cecil Beaton, UK and France. Pablo Picasso, silver gelatin print, 1500 to 2500, which is a fun portrait. But these, you push a button, and they light up, and they're three-dimensional pieces. Those came from San and Ira too. 2319. There's two of them. They're by Sean O'Donnell, California and Arizona. One's called Cold War, and the other's called Howdy Doody. This one has Howdy Doody in it, because that's way before your time. And those are estimated at only $500 to $700 a piece. So if somebody wants something fun. Here's a beautiful bronze by Frederick Remington. Right here, this is a lovely one. Great patina, 2106. One of the greatest American Western painters and sculptors. Frederick Remington, the Rattlesnake is called. This one was done originally in 1905. Second only popular to the Bronco Buster, which is over here. This is the Bronco Buster by Frederick Remington. Beautiful bronzes, Western collectors. 1448. This is an interesting portrait. It's beautifully executed in an incredible carved period gilded frame. This is lot 1448. It's a portrait of an identified 1915 KIA World War I British Army officer by George Percy Jacomb Hood. He was the illustrator of the Blue Fairy book originally. Portrait of 2nd Lieutenant Arthur Cedric Foster, 1st Battalion. This came out of a house in New Hampshire. Incredible painting, estimated 1,000, 1,500. You had to have that frame carved, it'd probably be around 10,000 just for the frame, but a beautiful, dignified picture of a military man. You know, this is a great picture for somebody who has an Adirondack style house with a trout breaking out of the water. American illustrator. This is a female surrealist painter right here. That came out of Florida. This is an interesting little drawing. This is a pencil graphite study by David Graham Baker, a wonderful Maine contemporary artist. We own one of his major works in our collection. And this little boy came, life-size little boy came out of, it's a contemporary woman painter from Florida, and that came out of that estate in Palm Beach that we did. This is an interesting sculpture. They took a piece of driftwood and used formulated lead to make a mermaid figure. This is by Jürgen Broadwolf, a Swiss artist. Mermaid sculpture. This is from the estate in Blue Hill too. And that's estimated at 8 to 1,200. Has a custom lucite stand for displaying. Oh, this is fun right here. This horse sculpture, this came out of the estate in Blue Hill too. This is by Rudolph E. Condon, worked in Maine and Pennsylvania. Wonderful stylized horse. It's all carved mahogany with forged iron legs. All his accessories are forged iron too. For contemporary comfort, we have this wonderful white leather tufted sofa and this glass top table with the Chanel monogram. This was probably used in, this piece here was probably used in a Chanel store as a display piece. This came out of an estate in Belfast, number 2348. Estimated, yeah, Coco Chanel glass top table, 1,000 to 1,500. I have to pay that for the glass alone. An interesting piece. And this brutalist sculpture is wonderful. This came out of an estate in Florida too that I did in Coral Springs. It's signed right here in 1977. 2330. That is by Clyde Ball, a Missouri artist. Brutalist sculpture signed and dated 1977. Kind of fun figure though. It has almost a surrealistic quality to the feel of it. Now we're coming into the armament division of the sale. 1444 is protection against all things harmful. Those are vintage French cavalry breastplates, armor, dated 1853. Second Empire they are. I love it with a French eagle in the front. and those are estimated at 2,000 to 3,000. Look at the workmanship in these. They're German silver and iron or steel flintlock matched pair of pistols. We got these on a house call in New Hampshire. These are absolutely stunning. One of the best pairs we've had, 1434, is, let's see. These are a pair of Scottish style silver flintlock pistols by London gunsmith John Blissett, 1840 to 1877, at 3,000 to 4,000. They're absolutely exquisitely made. And then if you want a smaller set, look at these. These are pretty special too. These are in a custom fitted box, and these are the little, they call muff pistols or boot pistols, with a big caliber on the front of it, all engraved with beautiful rosewood carved wood handles, and they have the ball shot and the little ball maker. Those are a pair of Case Belgian gunsmith muff pistols with carved handles, $2,000 to $3,000, and a matched pair left and right. And they're usually numbered too. You'll have number 1 and number 2. But what's interesting about these is the barrels unscrew, which is amazing. Look at the tooling work on here. You know, the artistry of the gun makers in that period, all silver inlaid. The artistry in that period of the gun makers was just phenomenal. And people collect these as pieces of art. They're not to be shot or anything like that. These are, you know, to put out on display if you happen to collect weapons. But there's several sets of guns in here and things like that. There's a wonderful early cannon, and the carriage that it's on is carved in whalebone. This carriage cannon right here. What a great thing. This is a signed document by General Lafayette, and it has a medallion of the two people, Philip Hone and General Lafayette. This came out of I got a house call over in Bath, Maine, and this family had these passed down in their family. All this Lafayette material. Can you see that right, Bill? The letter was done in 1829. That's 2600 to 2300 BCE. That's how early that Cycladic figure is. And there's also a Cycladic figure head. They're always carved in stone, very primitive. They give the impression of almost a alien or someone from outer space, really. This is an interesting piece right here. This is a whale's ear bone. The interior of the ear bone of the whale, and it has Inuit carving on it. This is probably 19th century, and it's $600 to $800. It depicts women dancing. But can you imagine that was taken out of a whale? There's a whale's ear bone. You see a beautiful carving on it. Look at this. If you want something truly unique that no one in the neighborhood has, this would be it. This is a Langtanka cannon. This was on board ship in an Indonesian boat. It's all bronze, very primitive. And they'd have these on the boats to defend themselves. It's solid bronze. The early 19th century. Here's another. This is what they call a rail cannon. To be on the rail of the ship and to use to fire and defend themselves. This is a wonderful console table. You notice it has carved and gilded swan figures on the base with lion paw feet. And this type of furniture is called Biedermeier furniture. And this lady had extensive collection of Biedermeier furniture. It's always light wood with a dark trim, black trim sometimes, like this one. This was hanging over it, so you see the same motif in the top of the mirror as this. So these were really a two-piece suite that they used in this particular estate. And the mirror is at 1,000, 1,500, and the base is at 1,500, 2,500. This one has all the drawers inside of it. It has a center section where you could actually put a sculpture. Look at the wood in that. A Biedermeier. All German design furniture. German and Austrian, actually. Those are sculptures by Andre William Harvey. He was from Delaware and Florida and worked in France. It's called First Light Bronze Wall Sculpture of the Beehive. That's all in bronze, and this is the Robin one is called Morning Glory. And this artist gets very, very expensive in the galleries. You're looking at $10,000 to $15,000 a piece for these in the gallery. Love the way he did the bees on here, and the whole thing is just spectacular. And then the mother robin feeding the babies with the morning glories growing up, all in bronze, all in bronze. A lot of work to do that. This is a wonderful picture too. This Alex Kanevsky, he's a Russian Federation period artist, done in 2016 of a woman in a pond. Very definitive style to his work. We had one in the last sale that brought multiple thousands. This one's estimated at $6,000 to $8,000. Lovely painter. I love the way he handled the reflection in the water here. Now this is for somebody, this is lot 2050, that's on Sunday. But this is for somebody that wants to really pour whatever in style. This is all case glass. In other words, it's the white glass carved down to the clear glass, and then it's all set with jewels and gold leaf. Extravagant piece of what they call Moser glass. Absolutely stunning piece of glass. It's a jeweled and gilded piece, and you got to remember this was all hand blown. It's all hand blown. This is the ground ponto when it came off the glass blower's rod with an applied glass handle. It's absolutely amazing that this could survive. I think this was at $3,000 to $5,000. An exquisite piece of glass in the Victorian era. And this must have been for the gal that had everything. This is lot 2016. It's a 5-piece custom-made set from the Art Deco period of Tiffany ivory set, and it's their monogram is done in 18 karat gold. 18 karat gold. You've got your little mirror, clothes brush, hairbrush, shoehorn, and your little powder jar, all done in ivory. Look at the powder puff still in it. Isn't that amazing? That survived. Somebody treasured this, and it's interesting how they made a locking mechanism. See how it locks? You lock it just like that. And the monogram, it looks like it says TCT maybe, is the monogram, but this would have been from the 20s or 30s, and it is signed Tiffany Company. So this would be Tiffany Company, the jewelry store, not Louis Comfort Tiffany, the artist. This is Louis Comfort Tiffany, the artist right here. This is a beautiful peacock feather, swirled edge bowl. And you see how you can tell if it's real Tiffany. It's signed LC Tiffany Favril. That's the type of glass, and it has a serial number 6157E. That would have been in the records of the company when this was made, and it kept record of which art glass maker working for Tiffany would have made this exquisite piece of glass. This is only like $500 to $700. And this is interesting here. These were made by René Lalique, the famous French glass sculptor, and this is a head of Pegasus, the horse, and these were designed to put on the French automobiles as mascots where the radio cap goes. Pretty interesting things. They came in different forms as women, horses, and eagles, and falcons, and all kinds of stuff, and they usually signed right along the base here. Let's say Lalique, and a beautiful condition again. That one evidently was never on a car because the condition's too great. And you've got some early, this is early English pottery right here with the characters, and this is called a watch hutch. So at night when you came home, you'd put your pocket watch in here, so you really had a little like a clock. You could look at your clock, your watch during the night, rather than having to take it off the table or whatever. And these are called a watch hutch, and this is in a English pottery called Prattware. Beautifully designed again. So this is a very interesting field of collectible items. These were done in the late 19th, early 20th century. These are what they call coal-painted bronze figures of birds and animals, and they were almost done in Austria. This is a little parakeet, a sweet little thing. These are all from the same family's collection from Maine. This one here is a nice one because they're bright colors and stuff like this. And they'll bring anywhere from 300 to 500 to 3,000 to 5,000, depending on the image and how many people want that particular bird or animal. But these are all from the same family. There's a wonderful horned owl in beautiful condition and paint. And what they call them coal painted because they do the bronze casting and then they're painted by the artist that does the surface of them. And we've got an owl, we've got a cardinal, we've got a blackbird, we've got all different little birds. There's a little dachshund and a terrier, a little guinea pig here. Up top there's more birds. There's a falcon on top of a feather. This was actually used, it would be used as a pen tray on a desk. But the workmanship and craftsmanship in these is so beautiful. So this would resemble the feather that would come off that falcon or hawk. You see? This one is signed and numbered, which most of them are. And look at these cool cigar cutters. These are made of staghorn and with silver tips. This one's got a horned owl with little garnet eyes and silver. I mean, if you want to cut your cigars in style, this is the way to do it. So these are going as a pair or two separate together. There's the owl, and this one's another cigar cutter, and it has a dachshund head on top of it with little ruby eyes or garnet eyes in silver again for trimming up the cigars. These would be 19th century or early 20th century again, and those are exceptionally good quality here. There's a wonderful Dutch or German silver music, what they call a bird box, and you press the lever and this little bird with real feathers pops up and sings you a tune, and when he gets done he goes back in the box. This is a particularly good one because it's on a hinged stand with all, see how the bird goes back in the box? This one has a rooster on top with animals, little dogs around it. But this one's interesting because it folds out to wind it. So it's a clockwork mechanism that makes these go. And it's pure silver, all hallmarked down here with the, yeah, that's Dutch, it has the Dutch hallmarks on it. But we have two of these in the sale. We have this one, and then we have this little guy right here who doesn't want to cooperate tonight. But this one has little musical pooties on it and all done, and you press the lever and he comes up and moves around and sings too. Again, a clockwork mechanism. So we have keys to wind them to make them go. And those usually run between $2,500 and $3,500 a piece. They're pretty special. But this is interesting. This is carved out of whalebone and probably sailor made of a woman holding a bottle of wine, more than likely, seeing that it's a corkscrew for wine. All hand forged iron right here. So this is probably mid to late 18th century, but in whalebone. But what's interesting, the way it's curved, it's like the shape of a ship's figurehead, which they used a lot of women on the figureheads on the fronts of the ships. These huge carved figures would be on the front of the ships, and they're called figureheads. But this is a very nice one. It's going along with this one, I guess. The two of them are going together. This one is just a piece of gnarled, pearled wood. Again, a very early, all hand-forged iron. And those are lot 2053, so those will be on Sunday. Sets of flatware. There's a lovely set of Tiffany down there, and tea sets and things like that. Tiffany flatware. This is a Tiffany water pitcher in silver, which is nice. So this one's interesting. It has a presentation from the Flamingo Hotel Trophy in 1935. Committee of 100, Coco Lobo Chance Race, won by, and it doesn't have the name of who won it, so somebody they didn't have a trophy winner. It's a cocktail shaker. So the top comes off, like this, so you can put the ingredients in it, and then this little finial comes off and you can pour it. But isn't that cool? Well, $10.50, and that should bring somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000. That's what they generally bring. Then we have a vast collection of tea caddies, this being a very rare color. This is green tortoiseshell. If you can see the color. Green tortoiseshell. They always have two compartments because you'd have two kinds of tea. You might have Ceylon type of tea and you might have oolong, and people would like to mix them, and they'd take them a bowl and they'd mix the flavors that they wanted and the strength that they wanted. What's interesting is no wonder all the Englishmen are dead, because they are always lead lined. This one even has the original key with little silver mounts on it. This one's probably $3,000 to $5,000. That's on Saturday. This is your more typical tortoise shell. This is a serpentine front with little bun feet, silver mounts, ivory trim, always a couple of compartments again to change your tea. Again, lead lined. You know, lead's supposed to be so bad for you, and here these are all lead lined. These are going to run easily $2,000 to $3,000 a piece. They're very popular. And then they came out with these early ones in the late 18th century in the shape of fruit. This one's a pear form tea caddy. Again, you see the traces of the lead lining again, and this one does have the key, and this would be in satin wood or pear wood. See the variation of the color, all handmade hinges and a scutcheon for the key. This one's probably $1,000 to $2,000 easily. And this is very unusual. We've never had an apple quite like this one. This is has a metal stem and is painted with the apple leaves on it. But they, again, lead lined. Lead lined. And this one is probably early 19th century again. Again, you know, 1,000 to 1,500. But there's a big collection of these tea caddies. This is a very unusual one here. This came out of the estate in Blue Hill, Maine. This is all diamond point, very sharp, heavy cut crystal or cut glass with an open pontil on the bottom and silver mountings in a custom fitted leather case. But believe it or not, this was for tea also. But this would be for somebody with very high financial ability. And it's in beautiful condition. This came out of the estate in Blue Hill. Look at the special covering on the leather box with silver handles, like $12.09. That's again on Saturday when we sell all of the tea caddies. This is by Melbourne Brindle. He was known for doing portraiture of cars. A wonderful painter. He did cars and he did cruise ships and all kinds of wonderful illustrations. And his stuff runs anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 up per picture. And these are all oil on canvas.